Good afternoon, Rubén.
Good afternoon.
First of all, just before we get into the game, have you got any early team news for us? Anybody definitely out? Anybody back in contention?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have Juan Larios, Mohamed Salisu, and Tino Livramento, who are not selectable for tomorrow. Then we have Shea Adams that is selectable and available for the game tomorrow. And then we have Jan Bednarek that has been under concussion protocol. The concussion protocol will finish tonight at midnight. And then tomorrow we will evaluate the situation and see if he is selectable to play or not.
I just wondered if I could just take you back a few days to the game against Arsenal. How important was Friday, despite you saying that you dropped 2 points, but how important, now you've had a little bit of time to reflect on it, was it to show that there is still that belief within the players?
Yeah, I think that's one of the points that we get from the game, and I think that's correct. I think the evaluation is still there. It's the same evaluation as we did at the end of the game. I think we show where we are and we show where we want to be. I think we have some good bits of football there and against a great opponent. And again, we dropped 2 points, but it's an spirit that I have been highlighting, that the boys are fighting and are working well during the week to get the result in the weekend. And we didn't get the 3, but we get the sensation that we can compete against anybody, and we have been doing that for the last 2 months.
Can I just ask you, Rubén, you alluded to it on the night because of course you were sitting on a yellow card, but Carlos Alcaraz was having a man of the match performance on Friday night, and you explained why you made that decision. I just wonder, in the subsequent days, have you sat down with him just to have a chat with him, just to talk it through?
Yeah, absolutely, and he has no problem with the decision. Of course, in the first moment, his reaction, he didn't like it, but he took it as a professional player need to take it. And then we are here to accomplish a mission, and the mission is accomplished by the team, not by one person, one player, and one coach. We are here together, and sometimes we need to make those calls in order to the benefit of the team. And he understood that message, and some other times we make some other calls. So nothing from that, more than we are a team, we go as a team, and it's not a one-player game, it's for all of us, and sometimes those things happen. We are happy with his performance, the way that he's conducting himself, the way that he's adjusting to the Premier League level, and hopefully it will get even better.
Rubén, I've listened to a lot of your words in recent weeks, your positive energy that you impart to the team and your philosophy, very much high, aggressive pressure, fast starts, intensity. Can we expect the same tomorrow night against Bournemouth?
Yeah, sure. We don't have 2 phases to play the game, so we will make a mistake if we can expect a game that is slow and we expect for the things to happen, and we are not in a situation that we need to wait for everything. So I think we show where we are. We have been building up for a long time. I think we have some bits of it before and some good expression of what we are. And then we just need to take this energy and the way that we play. Of course, we will adjust some behaviors because the opponent in front is a different opponent than we had last Friday. But the essence that our identity should be the same.
Rubén, can you give me your thoughts on the challenge ahead of you against Bournemouth, but also your counterpart, Gary O'Neill, and the job that he's done there since picking up the club in difficult circumstances at the start of the season?
Yeah, I think he has been doing a great job in Bournemouth. They got some points recently that kept them a little bit away from our fight, and I think you can see an evolution of the team, the things that they have put on place, the staff in possession, the way that they try to press. And it's never easy when you get the team in the middle of the season, and he counted with that World Cup break to work with his team, and I think he has been doing a fantastic job.
Although it would appear that Bournemouth are very close to securing their safety in the Premier League, a victory for you tomorrow night will just hook them back in ever so much slightly, and obviously make you a lot closer to getting out of the relegation zone. How much is it important to potentially pull another team in as well to the fight?
Well, my mind is in what we can do and what is for us on the game, just to try to get the 3 points and make a good performance. And then, of course, if we take the 3 points, we will be much closer to the target that we were before the game. And I'm not really going to evaluate a team like Bournemouth. I think they have their own reality. What we need is just to get points, and doesn't matter who is in front.
Just another couple from me, if I may, Rubén. I don't know if you heard James Ward-Prowse after the game against Arsenal speaking glowingly, particularly about you, saying that you have got the club's identity back on track I mean, how much does that mean to you coming from one of your senior players?
Well, I didn't know about it. It's the first time that I hear, but it's just something that supports the idea that when I speak with you before or after the game, and it's part of the leadership that I want for this club with me. That is that we are being honest and we know what we are doing, and everybody can identify themselves with the big idea, and everybody has a role to play. So that James put it on you. I think it's a big thing because it's also a big part of it. So it's no more nor less that the reality of what we have been doing and we are doing and we will continue doing.
Where would you say right now the chances are of the Saints retaining their Premier League survival? Are we 50-50, 60-40 against?
We are still alive. I'm not very well about the percentage. We are still alive, and we are still there on the fight, and we will be there until the very last second, that's for sure, and that's what everybody needs to expect from us.
And very finally from me, I'm not going to ask you the question that you've been asked in the last 6 or 7 press conferences, because I know you had a bit of fun with that last time. Do you have to win this game? But we do have an expression in this country, and I don't know whether it translates into Spanish, drinking in the last chance saloon. Are you very much?
I don't know exactly what does it mean, but yeah, the answer is yeah, I go and I need to win that game tomorrow, that's for sure.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Rubén, you've surprised us recently with Joe Aribo and then Adam Armstrong last week. Have you got another surprise in store tomorrow?
Well, it's a good question. When we do something, it's not that something that we expect an impact in terms of external ones. We do what the game demands, and as I said before, every single player has been working really well, so everyone deserves to be in that lineup, and I need to make the choice. Sometimes, like Joe Aribo against Crystal Palace, we detected that we can explore the red zone, what we call the red zone, the space between the lines, better with him or with any other player because he's left-footed and the profile. I think we did it. And Adam Armstrong has been working really hard in the last 3 weeks and even playing for the B team the week before he played against Arsenal. And what is needed is needed. And then if they are ready to take the challenge, we are ready to use them when the opportunity and our game plan allows that. So let's see tomorrow.
With tomorrow, Bournemouth have improved a lot recently, especially since they brought your player Jack Stephens into their back line. How much of a help is it that he can't play tomorrow, and how does that affect your analysis of how they defend, the fact that he has been playing all these recent weeks?
Well, yeah, it's always tricky because, on the other hand, Jack, we know Jack very well, and then with his abilities, and he knows us very well, even though he has not been in the club for the last 8 months, I think. They will have a different behavior, but they already played some games with Jack before, without Jack before. And then we can expect some variations, especially after the game that they had on Sunday against West Ham. Also, I expect a couple of variations from Gary. And it's not harder than any other opponent. It's just to make the same work and then try to analyze what are the variations and which kind of scenarios we will face.
I'll ask you about Kamaldeen Sulemana. He's very exciting. Fans love watching players take other players on, but of course you have to be brave to do that. It involves risks. How do you sort of encourage him to do that, but then also, where do you have the balance of that risk taking versus playing a bit safer?
Yeah, I understand a player of Kamaldeen that can be very differential in the 1-against-1 situation, especially it needs to be isolated in a different category than any other player. So what we work with him, because it's not only that he's a player right now for us, that just a young player coming to the Premier League new with a lot of external pressure, if we can say like that. It's just a player that needs to learn how to compete in the league. Sometimes it's necessary for him to start the game and then give those bits for us in the very beginning. Sometimes it's necessary according to our game plan to bring some chaos in some parts of the game, and that's where he can be the best. Sometimes it's just against Manchester City to play him as a striker to start the first pressure, but also to be a threat. So he's understanding and learning what does it mean for us and for our system, his strength, and we are also coping with him in terms of how we can be in the benefit of the team, not only the benefit of one player.
Is it difficult, sort of being able or trying to give a player like that as much freedom as they need to play as devastatingly as they can, but also restrict them a little bit because of the team, what the team needs?
Yeah, I don't think it's difficult. I don't think it's just we need to pick the moments when you can go more for his actions, and the moments where you need to go more for the unit of the team, or the moments when he needs to work for the team. And usually with the young players, you have this characteristic that they sometimes disconnect from the game, especially when it's after losing the possession of the ball, and that's one of the characteristics that we are working with him. So because he's quick enough to recover the possession and to recover the position, but it's some kind of attention that he needs to develop in order to be even more fitter for our system. So it's the balance always in what we need in different moments of the game.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rubén, you weren't manager when Jack went on loan. You were obviously coaching at the club, but I know people at Bournemouth think it's strange that Southampton let a rival club have a player who's done very well for them, and they probably think it's hilarious that they've got one of your players helping them stay up with you at the bottom of the table. Do you find it strange that he's playing for Bournemouth rather than going on loan to a club in a different division?
Well, I think Jack has the category to play in the Premier League. That first of all, if it's in Bournemouth or it's another team or it's for us, that's completely different. I think Jack has the personality and the ability to be a Premier League player. I was not involved in the decision. I didn't make the decision, and it's not for me to evaluate that decision. Or I can say if I will like to have Jack in the house, and we will like to have Jack here. And I think it's one of the players that when they come back from loan can be important, because one of the things that we need is that people that can identify themselves with Southampton Football Club. So that's basically what I can tell you.
You watched Bournemouth last Sunday. Look, we all watched them, of course, against West Ham. Their frailty at set pieces was exposed by West Ham. They've shipped a lot of goals from dead ball situations this season. You scored from a corner on Friday night, of course. How important are set pieces tomorrow, and how much have you thought about and planned to try and hurt them from set pieces?
Well, as you know, we have been talking about the set pieces quite a lot, especially during the last couple of months with me. I think the set pieces are a mandatory part right now in the modern football, and the strategies to develop from the restarts, from throwing, goal kicks, and of course the corner kicks. I think with the last change that we make with Andrew and Adam just being responsible for that, you have seen Andrew stepping up in the line, coaching the team. Also, he's doing a great job together with Adam, preparing the sessions, training ground, video sessions, preparing the boys. And I can say that we have been improving that area, especially after the Brentford game. And we prepare it also with the idea to get as much as possible from those corners, and also to give away the less as possible in our own box. So it's not more, not less than usual. It's just another tool that we need to use, and of course it's very, very high in our priorities for the game.
I think Friday was a great example of what you've been saying about you don't need to play with a big striker to keep the ball and score goals and so on, because sometimes you don't keep the ball when you're playing up to a big striker. But given their set piece worries at Bournemouth, off the bench or from the start, Paul Onuachu could have an impact tomorrow, couldn't he?
Well, let's see.
Just lastly, I want to ask you about the recovery of Mislav Orsic, because as I was planning for the commentary, he was back on the bench last week. He was on the bench a few weeks ago as well. He's sort of seems to be slowly getting back towards favour, maybe. It's remarkable he's only played one sub-appearance in the Premier League since he joined the club. And he does play in a sort of role like a 10 that can be played. Has he been improving? Has he done more in recent weeks to push himself closer to playing?
Well, Mislav is working hard and is working well, and we don't have anything to comment about that. So the decision to don't play him in the last weeks has been my decision. And the decision to bring him to a couple of games is just responding into some tactical variants that we can use during the game, or some situations with some other teammates. If it's gonna be there or not for the next game, I have not the answer right now. But I have. He has been. What I can say, he has been working really, really well, and then it's just on me to make the decision if he's playing or not.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Hi, Rubén. Just looking at some of your recent games, in the West Ham defeat, you had more possession. In the Crystal Palace defeat, you had more possession. Against Manchester City, you only had 25% possession, and yet you get a point against league leaders.
Against Arsenal.
Against Arsenal. Yes. Do you think that your team actually prefers to play against teams whereby you have less of the ball?
Well, if you analyze the Crystal Palace game, in the first 45 minutes, Crystal Palace didn't have a shot on target. And we have at least 3 chances to score a goal, big chances to score a goal. In the West Ham game, even though we don't have a big chances in the first half, we have the control of the game, and it was just a set piece that we conceded. So I think the games are going in one way or the other in function also of the opponent. And we don't evaluate the possession of the ball in terms of having the possession of the ball. We need to use the possession of the ball to score goals, but also to keep the ball away from the opponent. And that's what we do. Teams like Arsenal are dominating teams in terms of possession, so that's why you are reducing it into some 25 to 35, 37% of possession of the ball, like Manchester City, and then you need to use your tools in a different way. But the game is just dictating what we are. I think we are a team that feels comfortable applying the pressure and knowing when to do it, but we also feel comfortable when we are in possession. The only thing that we didn't make is just to translate that possession in terms of goals, and that it has been or big chances. But again, Crystal Palace first half, we have everything on it. First half against West Ham, not big chances, but situations to score goal. Even when they scored the first one, we have the one that they scored, we have a situation after a long possession. So for me, it's not a discussion of having more or less possession. I know it's an stat that is there. It's about the opponent that you play, and it's about how we use the ball. Sometimes, like the goal last week, the first goal, you just need a couple of touches to score because you are very aggressive on the pressure, and then that's what we want to be. But sometimes you need to elaborate a little bit more action, and then we are ready also for that.
Thank you. And after that match at Arsenal the other day, Jamie Carragher said that everyone had wrote Southampton off, but you only felt you needed one win to really be back in the mix. How important would just one win, especially tomorrow, be for your team?
Well, I think the win has been important for the whole time and the whole period here, but I don't think I think we make some good performances and more than enough to get at least one win of the last 4 to 5 matches, and we didn't. So I think for me it's the performance what is there, and then we need to try to transform that performance into the 3 points, and then tomorrow is the most closest opportunity that we have, and we need to do it. So with independency of what Jamie say or not, it's just a fact that we are there and we are fighting and we are competitive against any opponent, and then we just need to make this final bit to get the 3 points. And once we get it, hopefully tomorrow, then it's going to be a very different scenario.
And just finally, as we get closer to the end of the season, do you see any change in the attitude of players as kind of the pressure grows, really, that relegation could happen, it gets closer? Do you see any change in attitude, any mentality?
I think they have been impressively well behaving and working for the last period, because it's unfortunately the situation is not new for us, but they have been very professional in what they do, and then I don't see a team, or I don't see nobody that don't want to play or don't want to try to be in the team or don't want to try to help the team. And I think when you saw a team on last Friday that is playing together, taking decisions together, fighting together, you see exactly what it is. It's an honest team that will try to do everything on the pitch, and then we try to do everything to be together, and that's the spirit and the sensation that we have inside every single day. So I didn't see anybody just trying to be away from the dynamic. I see professional players trying to fight for it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to the section for template this evening. Start with you, Jacob.
Hi, Rubén. Bournemouth have a big threat on transition. How much emphasis do you put on getting your rest defence right, guarding against the space left behind?
Well, we just adjust in the way that we attack to be able to control those transitions and to control the first movement from Solanke or the second wave from Billing, Tavernier, those players joining, even Lerma, he has time to arrive as a second wave. And it's just part of our routine and our habit to prepare those moments. I think during the season we have one of the points that we had is that we control really well the opposition transition, and we just need to adjust and be aware of those moments.
How important would it be to get into the red zone, like against Crystal Palace, because Bournemouth tend to sit in a lower block trying to exploit the space in behind?
Yeah, well, it's gonna be important, but it's not gonna be the same game against against Crystal Palace, or try to have some beats against Arsenal, or or before, it's going to be, or even West Ham, it's going to be a different approach from us, because we know exactly how do we want to attack that space to create something in the last line. So we will just make some variations in those movements.
Jan Bednarek, on Friday night, he was almost like another coach at times in that second half. How important is having that experience, having that voice in such a young team?
Absolutely, and you know, Jan has been my election from the very beginning to lead that back four. And to be honest with you, I didn't expect anything else. I think he's a player that is involved and is engaged with what we are. He has this ownership feeling for the club and for the team. I know there have been some noise away from us and in the media with you or something that happened in the past, but the real thing is that an experienced player leading the back four, and off or on the pitch he's showing that character, and that's why he has been one of our key players in the last 2 months.
Just on Bauer's point about Kamaldeen, during games you seem to be talking him throughout the game. Do you feel he still needs to do more without possession? Yeah,
absolutely. We are still educating Kamaldeen, and then I think he's a player with an amazing talent for one-against-one situations, and he's coming from Danish League or the League One, when the times to rest when you lose the ball in possession are a little bit bigger than the times that are in the Premier League, when you have more actions per minute, and then he needs to adapt into that, and it's not happening from one day to the other. He just needs to learn, and he's in his way to do it. So absolutely, we need more, but we also understand the process are the process with especially a young player like him.
Just finally, is there a timescale when Sellés' injury?
It's a time that he needs to improve from that, and we will not know. We will expect I think it's on next week to make a final decision. He needs a different kind of therapy because he's not getting better. Thank you.
Benji.
Afternoon, Rubén. Just wanted to ask you about Shea Adams. I mean, obviously he's been out for a few weeks. He's a player that I think everyone has felt Southampton have missed since he's been out. How difficult of a task, I guess, is it for him to come right back in and sort of reach the intensity levels that we've gotten used to from him, but against Bournemouth, a team that he's obviously had success against in the past?
Well, Shea has been working really hard in the last basically a month since he has been out from the national team injury, and he has done he has done really well in terms of keep his shape and keep himself fit enough. So when he joined partially the training in the last days, he looked like a player like he's ready to play. We will evaluate if he's starting or if he's coming from the bench, but surprisingly well the way that he has adjusted and keep himself ready for the games.
Do you think his return and someone like him coming back into that gives the rest of the players a lift? Because obviously he can be a focal point for this team. He can be someone who can help you relieve pressure. He can be someone who can help you win the ball back. Does it help the other players, I guess, get into the best mindset possible?
Well, absolutely. He's a player that knows the Premier League, has played a lot of games, know the opponents, has even scored in the last game, and that also gives to you some kind of security when you have him around of the team or even starting tomorrow. And that bit of familiarity or knowledge about the opponent, about yourself, about who is the man on your right and your left, absolutely helps the other players to understand much better than with some other cases. So yes, to have Shea there, it's absolutely an advantage for us.
You mentioned Bednarek a few moments ago. I mean, obviously be a blow if he is forced to miss the game on Thursday. We'll have to see, obviously, how he recovers from the concussion. I mean, you made the club / the medical team made the decision to take him off on Friday against Arsenal, and that put a lot of trust in Duya and then Lianco after halftime. I mean, it must be promising, I guess, from your perspective, to see them come on and at least until those final stages defend well against obviously a very good team in Arsenal.
Yeah, I think Duya and Lianco prove the centre backs that they are, and prove that they have been working and being ready for the opportunity. I think they got it, and then if some of them need to start tomorrow, or both of them, because we change into the back five, if that's the case, I think they are ready, and that's why when I talk to you about this, the players being ready to make an impact on the game, it's not only words. You can see immediately, especially in the Arsenal game, how players like Lianco that has not been used enough this season, he just step in and make a fantastic job. Duye, West Ham game, or even on Friday. So I have no doubt that any one of them can play from the very beginning.
Just very lastly for me, I mean, this team has struggled a lot this season to win multiple games in a row, to get results in multiple games in a row. Do you think that's just how difficult the Premier League is? Do you think that that's some sort of mental block with the team? What do you think the reasons for that are?
No, I think that every game is different. I think we have been there and we make some performances that at least deserve more from in the result perspective. I think we didn't get it for one reason or the other. I think sometimes it's hard, and especially in the Premier League, it's hard to come back after you concede the first goal, and that has been our minus in those games. So what we need to do is just to try to manage the advantage and then be ruthless in the finishing, and if we have the situation, put ourselves in advantage, because we know in the same way that it's difficult for us to come back, it's difficult for the other teams to come back, and we need to use that.